I'd like to call this meeting to order. Tonight is Monday, August 11, 2014. It's 7:04 p.m. Sorry for the late start. This is School Board meeting of Independent School District 271. I'm going to start off with the roll call. All members except Jim Sorum, who has an excused absence, are present. I'd like to invite you all to stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I welcome everybody back after a little bit of an absence for summer. Looking for a approval of tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Make sure my pen is working tonight. And we move into the recognition of the student, staff, and public. And Rick Kaufman is going to introduce our National School Public Relations Association Gold Medal Award.
Good evening, Chair Bergstrom, Superintendent Fujitaki, members of the Board of Education. It is my honor this evening to recognize 4 individuals who represent a cast of dozens that were part of the successful campaign effort, the Citizens for Safer, Smarter Schools, in the 2013 Safe and Innovative Schools referendum last fall. So what I'd like to do is have the tri-chairs of the Citizens for Safer, Smarter Schools, Dennis Kane, Ginny Bergstrom, Dick Bergstrom, and the Communications Committee Chair, Jacqueline Swords, come up here. And I have a few remarks, and then I'll give you your awards. So Bloomington Public Schools were recognized this year for the 3rd time with a Gold Medallion Award by the National School Public Relations Association. We were one of 7 school districts out of 31 entrants that received the award this year. The Community Relations Office, with Jacqueline Swords as the then Marketing and Communications Manager, submitted a comprehensive application that outlined the communication efforts of the referendum campaign earlier this year. And as noted, we were one of 7 winners from a field of 31 entrants to earn the only national award competition that recognizes comprehensive school communications and public relations programs in the U.S. and Canada. Tonight, Dennis, Dick, and Ginny have the tri-chairs of the Citizens Committee, and Jacqueline, as one of the primary chairs of the Communications Committee, are here because what we like to do when we get these awards is to recognize everyone, but in this case, because it was a communications award, we have 4 gold medallions that I'd like to present to Dick, Dennis, Ginny, and Jacqueline. I also want to publicly acknowledge for those that are watching this, a few other folks that aren't getting the gold medallion, but certainly the effort that went into it, the campaign, which was an awful lot of folks, but certainly Superintendent Fujitaki and other members of the Communications Subcommittee, which are on the screen, Christy Warner, a parent, Addie Matson, Laura Schmidt, Marshall Averbrook, and Lynn Shearer, former teachers and leaders in the district. Sherry Brzezinka, another parent, Kevin Grebner, and Andrea Allis, our communication specialist. So please join me in giving these 4 individuals a round of applause, which represent, as I said, those folks on the screen and a whole lot more that helped the campaign be successful.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you for recognizing me tonight. It's great to be back in Bloomington, although bittersweet. I am applying a lot of what I learned in Bloomington's campaign to what we're doing in Eden Prairie and hoping for the best there. So if you want to volunteer for the campaign, You know who to call. But I just want to say thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to work on the campaign and for all of your help along the way. It really paid off.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you to everyone who helped with this referendum campaign. It was indeed an honor working with so many talented people. Working together as a talented team, they were. And this is a tribute to their hard work, and we salute, as we stand here, all of those efforts and the effort of being able to provide a safer and smarter school for Bloomington students. Thank you again.
Just real quickly, last year on August 6th, at our dinner table, Dennis and my wife and I were having a meeting, and a storm came through and blew down half the tree in our backyard. So the reason I mention that is there's always one thing that goes wrong with any event, and I considered that was the one thing that would go wrong. So we got it out of the way in a hurry. I think this exemplifies teamwork. No one person made this happen. The team made it happen. I'd like to say thank you to my coworkers on the board, 4 of whom were not on the board at the time, but that didn't mean that they did not support and that they weren't there at every meeting and that they didn't play a big role in the success of this campaign. So thanks to everybody, and go team. All right, as long as we're recognizing people, we have one guy who was going to try and sneak away from us tonight. On behalf of the school board, we'd like to thank Mike Hunnestead for his work with Bloomington Educational Television. Mike's going to come up to the microphone here. I have a few words to spout out here, Mike, and then you can take some time to say what you like. This is Mike's last night at the production, as a production technician for the broadcasting of school board sessions, which he has done over the last 2 years. I'd like to share a few words from Tom Ringdahl, the director of Bloomington Educational Cable Television. BEC TV has covered 735 board meetings since February of 1982. Started during discussions of closing Lincoln High School. Michael started covering board sessions in the summer of 2012. One of the quirkiest things, Mike's requirement this past spring to attend a public meeting for class. With nearly 70 board meetings under his belt, he had that pretty well covered already. I've appreciated the fact that Mike pays close attention to the discussions and actions of the board and to the personalities and passions of each board member as they deal with different topics. He has an uncanny job, or does an uncanny job, of predicting who will be speaking next on any given subject and having the camera shot ready on that person. While there's often very small audience in attendance at board meetings, Mike knows there's a sizable amount of people watching our live coverage and replays, and he is passionate about delivering the very best coverage possible to our community. In our 32 years of board coverage, Mike has been one of our very best. I would personally like to thank Mike for the work that he's done, training me in as a brand new board member 2.5 years ago. I came into the booth and said, what should I do? Where should I sit? How close should I be to the microphone? And he helped me out with some rookie questions. So thanks a million, Mike, and anything you'd like to say?
I just want to say thank you to all of you for being awesome and working hard for our community. I'm for sure going to come back and stop in and say hey to all of you. But until then, I'll be enjoying a film degree out in beautiful Bozeman, Montana at Montana State.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Mike assures me he's going to watch us online. was trying to figure out the time difference between Bozeman and here. All right, we are looking for consent on the Part A agenda. We have a motion.
We have
Yes.
to move it first, I suppose. So moved.
Second.
Then you have discussion, right?
Moved and seconded. Okay, any questions or
Okay.
comments?
So the comment that I had was on Part 3H, when we have the agreement for the national archery in the schools. And I think it's a great idea. The one thing that I wanted to bring up, and I think we have it covered, but is our weapons policy, 501. One of the things it says is specifically it talks about arrows. And I'm assuming if we have an archery course that they're going to have arrows in it. And we do have exceptions for non-students in a marksmanship course, but I'm not sure if let's see, under 4 exceptions, I'm not sure if C, policy application, fully covers our students. And I can't imagine that it would be a problem, but I just wanted to bring that up so that our administration or legal can review the policy to make sure that we aren't inadvertently violating our own policy by having this course.
I think that's prudent. David, any issues with us agreeing to this on the consent agenda and then looking into it after, or?
No, I mentioned to Rick, he probably wants to bring it up now, just in case the consensus of the board is you're not gonna change your policy and allow this. If that's the case, you probably don't want to approve the grant.
Okay.
But if everybody thinks it's nothing too serious and just a tweak or two of the policy will enable things to go ahead, then feel free to approve the grant tonight.
I don't want to get in the way of this conversation. Any other conversation before we? It sounds as though it would be just a simple tweak.
I didn't actually consider the idea that the arrows might violate our weapons policy, so I'll have to take a look at the policy in more detail, but I don't think it would be any large change if we had to make one.
No, it's a good catch. It's prudent to have this conversation, certainly beforehand. So what do we think? Are we good with this? And then we'll look at this policy 501 and then adjust as needed? Is that the right way of saying it, do you think, Rick?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and
And I
then,
apologize in advance, this wasn't supposed to be a gotcha, but I literally just saw it when I sat down.
no, that,
I
that's why,
said, oh, there's arrows in here.
that's why we have 7 sets of eyes looking at these things, so I appreciate that. All right, that said, do we, we have a motion to approve Part A as is?
So moved.
Moved and seconded.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, we move into Part B. First one up is the approval of the 2013-2015 negotiated contract with the Association of Bloomington Clerical. Mary Burrows is presenting. Does somebody want to read this one?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Be resolved, the School Board of Independent School District Number 271 approves the 2013-2015 negotiated contract between the school district and the Association of Bloomington Clerical.
Second.
All right, Mary, what have you got for us?
Okay, Chair Bergstrom, Superintendent Fujitaki, and members of the board, I am pleased to announce we've reached a tentative agreement with the clerical unit, and it has been ratified by them on July 15th, 2014, and has now come before you for approval. The tentative agreement includes salary schedule improvements of 1.24% for 2013-14 and 0.92% for 2014-15. In addition, the agreement includes a one-time payment to longevity levels for FTE, increases to longevity steps both years, previously agreed to out-of-network, out-of-pocket maximums for health insurance, increases to district health insurance contributions, and increases to district HSA contributions both years. MOUs regarding calendar changes for the 2014-2015 school year, and more education provided regarding our banding compensation system, and then other housekeeping changes that you've seen in the prior contracts that have come before you.
Great. Any questions, comments? I know there was a lot of hard work put into this contract as there are with all the different contracts. Yeah, Tom?
Yeah, could you just quickly explain the banding system?
I know there's a quick explanation for that.
10 words or less?
Because we're a public entity, we have to have a compensation system that is reviewed by the state every 3 years, I believe, under pay equity law. So it's a banding system that we've adopted that suits that pay equity report. Each position is banded as far as a number of point value system, and then it is placed in that compensation system.
Thank you.
Does that help out?
Yeah.
Okay, any other?
That's the real high level answer on that one.
Any other questions? Okay, we move to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that carries. I do have some comments real quickly from Jim Sorum, who couldn't be here, but he was on that team. Just quickly, Jim says, "I wish to extend my thanks to both the administration, clerical negotiations team for reaching a settlement that recognizes the contributions of all of our clerks. I appreciate the opportunity to be part of the negotiating process and commend all involved for the time and energy put into reaching an agreement. Thank you for all you do." All right, next thing up here is a first reading of first reading of policy 406, public and private personnel data.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, Nellie.
we resolve that the School Board of Independent School District 271 accepts the first reading of revised policy 406, public and private personal data. Second.
Okay, Nellie and Marie. All right, Mary's sitting in front of us. What can you tell us briefly about this one?
This policy, public and private personnel data, governs how the district handles personnel data. The revisions to the policy are designed to incorporate current statutory language of several sections into one policy, and it follows the MSBA model policy for this mandatory policy. So we're basically echoing their language.
Okay. Any questions, comments on this one? Looks like this one's pretty straightforward. All right, we move to a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Mary. Number 3 on Part B is the cooperative sponsorship for Jefferson and Kennedy Gymnastics Program. Yeah, Dawn.
Be it resolved that the School Board of Independent School District 271 approves a cooperative sponsorship for the Jefferson and Kennedy Gymnastics Program effective with the 2014-2015 school year.
Second.
All right. All right, Chris Lennox, Assistant Superintendent, is here to answer our questions. What can you share briefly with us about this?
Thank you, Chair Bergstrom, Superintendent Fujitaki, members of the board. In your packet, you do have a request for action regarding the cooperative sponsorship for the Jefferson and Kennedy Gymnastics programs. I think, as you're aware, Chad Nyberg actually initiated this request, but couldn't be here tonight. A lot of activities already starting in our high schools. Info was sent out prior to the meeting, and this is not the only sport in which we do cooperatively sponsor the two schools. And at this time, administration is recommending approval of that request.
All right, any questions, any comments? So essentially, we're blending two teams together, and then they will represent each school as they get into finals. Is that it?
That is correct. At the section tournament time, any sports that have individual competitions have to split back into separate schools. If it's a team competition, they can remain together throughout playoffs and into section, but for individual sports, they have to separate
Okay.
at that time.
Okay. I'm sure one is cheering equally for the other.
I'm certain.
Yeah, Rick?
So I guess the next question, I don't know that it would make a difference here, but if they don't have enough for a team, when they have to split, when they get to state, what,
Yeah, it's,
they're just done?
they can compete as individuals and moving through, but
No
the
team
team, right,
competition.
so if you have, right.
Makes it a little tough, but it at least gives them the opportunity to get that far.
Correct.
Yeah. All right, any other comments, questions? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Chris. All right, number 4 on Part B. Follow up on professional development sessions as of June 30th. So the board has had a couple of professional development sessions with Dennis Cheesebrow. We actually have one next Monday evening. And what I'd like to go over here is just some topics that came up in our last professional development. And I thought it would be interesting to get some conversation going on them. The first one is a additional professional development session to discuss the achievement and integration plan. And let's see, I think we have Eric to help us out through the A&I plan.
Good evening, Chair Bergstrom, Superintendent Fujitaki, board members. What I would, part of the reason this is on here, I feel like I have a lot of,
I think the one in your right hand works better than the one in your left hand.
thank you,
There you go.
I'll slide over. The session next Monday is around engagement and community engagement. And I think, number one, with the Achievement and Integration Plan, we're updating it and would really love your help, board member perspectives on that. We're doing all the World's Best Workforce meetings this fall, collecting information. I'm getting feedback, sorry. And if we could do a session, and I think we've got one tentatively scheduled in October with the Achievement and Integration Plan, we can kind of build off of the conversations we have around stakeholder engagement, share information back from the listening sessions, give you some more information into the data that we're diving into, so to speak, this summer and fall. We've been OEE departments actively doing that. And then have some conversation around governance in relation to the Achievement Integration Plan, and talk about a little bit what the linkage and influence on our strategic plan is with the Achievement and Integration Plan. So I would be really open to having that be part of the board work they're doing with Teamworks, and would love to see that happen.
Thank you, Eric. Any questions for Eric? Or I think it's a,
I have one.
yeah, go ahead, Nellie.
Yes, just one quick one. Are we going to have anybody from OEE department coming to the meeting to
Yep, definitely.
help us a little bit
Yep.
more? Okay, thank you.
Well, I personally appreciate the opportunity to be included in that conversation. I think it's a really important one.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be interesting to see. Any conversation on the transfer policy?
Well, that's part of the Achievement and Integration Plan that we submitted last year, was that we would be examining that and potentially adjusting that as part of the Achievement and Integration Plan. So I think that's why it's included with that,
Okay.
as part of that board training discussion.
Alrighty, well, I appreciate you giving us an opportunity to share.
Great, thank you.
The next one was the board session start time. So yeah, Les.
Do we have okay to go ahead to schedule that professional development session for the A&I plan?
For in October?
Yeah, that's October. I'm sorry, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Sorry, I'm just a little rusty coming off of a couple of weeks off, so. The board session start time. So in January, we talked about start times, and we came up with a, let's see how it flies, if I remember that conversation. We, the first meeting of the month, which would be tonight, starts at 7, and then every meeting after that starts at 6:30. And it appears that as well-intended as that message was, or that offering was, the message doesn't necessarily always get out. And I have seen, at least from my perspective, some people come to a 6:30 meeting, and you see them walk in at 4 minutes after 7, and you think, okay, they didn't know it started at 6:30. So I think that as hard as we try to get the message out, people aren't necessarily getting it, that the first meeting starts at 7 and then the other two start at 6:30. So I'd like to know if we can find a time where they, whatever it is, 6, 6:30, 7, where all the meetings start at the same time. Then we don't have to worry about, are people coming at 6:30 for a 7 o'clock meeting, or are they coming at 7:05 because they thought it was a 7 o'clock meeting, but it started at 6:30. So as I recall that conversation, it was, let's try this out, let's run it up the flag, let's see how it flies. And it's August now. I think we've had enough time to see how these meeting times go. I know that there was some concern from some of the board members, would they be able to make it at 6:30? Originally, there was an offer of, let's start it at 6 or 7, and then I think the compromise was 6:30. So what do we think? Do we, have we had enough of a trial to see if these times work? Are we running into hardships? Now's the time to share that opinion. We can, we always knew that we could tweak these times. Yeah, Rick?
I'll chime in. For me, later is better. So to do them all at 7, for me personally, is easier. And I've seen the same thing that you've seen, where a lot of people will come in. That we saw with some students that would show up at 7:01,
Yep.
and then we're almost finished, and they're going, well, I need to have an hour for my class. And so, you know, for me, I would prefer to have them all start at 7. I'd like to have them all start at the same time.
Yeah.
But 7 o'clock for me is the time that works best.
Okay. Tom?
I think at the very least, we should have our business meetings all start at 7. If we want to look at having our study sessions at different time, maybe at 6 or something along those lines, we could talk about that. But the business meetings, I think, should all be at 7, just so we have that consistency.
Any, yeah, Nellie?
Have we heard from our constituents what's best for them? Do people say anything about it at all?
You know, to be quite honest, I haven't heard any parking lot conversations or grocery store conversations about tuning in on television start times. No.
I've heard what I've heard from people, just it should be the same time. They get confused at 6:30 or at 7, so
Yeah.
pick one or the other is kind of the message I've been getting.
Just pick one or the other, not a specific time. So I definitely feel like 7 o'clock will give people more time to, you know, especially the ones that come for public recognition students, to get out of school after their activities and enough time to actually come to the meeting.
Okay.
I'll go for 7.
Anyone else? I think I'm more inclined to just have everything start at the same. And whatever time that is, whatever we decide on, that's fine. But I think where we're getting in trouble is having one start at one time and one start at the other, and people just, what do I do?
I even get confused. Sometimes I go, oh, wait a second. This is the week it's at 6:30.
Yeah.
I'll go and look to make sure which one's 6:30 and 7, so I show.
Well, we don't want our spouses confused, especially.
I go and look.
Superintendent, I'd like to ask you, What is it, if we moved it back to 7, what would that do to cabinet members that come to meetings and,
There should be no impact. We did 7 o'clock for years. Shouldn't be a problem.
okay. All right, well, I'm in favor of making all the start times for whatever we're doing the same. It's just one less thing that the public has to keep track of. So do we want to amend that and make our going forward, our start times set at 7?
So move.
All right, we have a move and a second. All those in favor of changing start?
One.
Yeah,
So is the intention in starting like next week, or I guess it would be the week after? 'cause
Yeah, it'd be
next
the week
is-
after.
Is the
yeah.
what-
Next week is professional
professional
development,
development, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, David.
Remember, if this is in your policy, if it is, it requires 2 readings.
Is it in our policy?
It is.
All right. So we can consider this the first reading?
You could, yes,
All right, and then we can vote on it at our next meeting,
6:30.
at our next meeting, which will be at 6:30.
So we can have this take effect September, first meeting of September, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Whatever that be, the 8th or something?
yeah. So the intent of this motion is to even out our start times for board meetings and study sessions. Whenever we meet here, it'll be at 7 o'clock. We'll consider this our first reading of this, if that's kosher to do. And then our second reading will be at our next board meeting, not next Monday, but the following Monday. And then we'll, hopefully we'll finalize it. I don't see it changing between now and then. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. That's not too hard. We pounded through that one. So taking on to the board study sessions, I did actually hear a lot of conversation in our professional development. We, for those of you watching at home, we had a square table configuration, and it was every other. So it was board member, cabinet member, board member, cabinet member. And I got a lot of positive feedback from that. I prefer that style. It's a little awkward for the cameras because they're fixed. They don't, you may end up showing somebody's shoulders or maybe the back of someone's head. As far as microphones are concerned, I don't know how, I'm sure we can work our way around that, but did anyone get the same feedback that I got on the configuration for the tables?
You're
And-
talking
and
about
that's-
during study sessions?
that's just for the
have
study
more of a-
sessions,
a
yeah.
round table?
Yeah, we
I
call
think, it'd be, I like the idea of a round table. I mean, I think my preference is to keep them televised, so if we can figure out with our friends in the booth over there, if we can get the camera set where we can have our study sessions with the round table, then I'd be for that.
Okay, anyone else? Yeah, Rick?
I guess I'll chime in, I always do, right? So, for me, being here the 7 months I was here, when we first came in, I said, well, I like to televise because as an audience member, I like being able to see them on TV. And so I wanted to keep it that way. I felt like, I didn't want to close it down. On the other hand, I feel like we're paying our consultant a good amount of money, and his recommendation was to do more of the round table format and also to not have them televised. And so, for me, having 7 months' experience versus the person with the years and years and years of experience, I feel like we should at least try his suggestion and move to the roundtable format and move to, his compromise was if you don't televise them, you can still have the audio recordings of them. And so I would be certainly open to moving to that direction of either just having audio or not recording them at all. Just because we hired this expert, and if we don't try a suggestion, I feel like we sort of wasted our money on that. So that's where I stand with it.
Okay. What I might add for the people that don't have our agenda in front of them at home, under letter C, board study sessions, it says roundtable format, and then televised or not televised, so that's what Director Oliva is talking about. Any other comments? Any other? Yeah, Maureen?
Well, I've been through both, and televised and non-televised, and my feeling is that it is not easier, but it's more casual of a conversation. You're able to be more direct. I think we have a lot of, looking forward, I think we've got a lot of difficult decisions that are going to have to be made, and I would prefer not to have them televised. I think that, it's just, conversation is easier when you don't have the cameras. That's just my feeling.
Okay. Well, there's no right or wrong here, so anyone else have a? Yeah, Nellie.
Okay, well, you guys know where I stand in this case, and I'm not gonna change my mind tonight in regards to what I have said before. I think our first responsibility goes to our constituents. In my opinion, I believe that even though we have a person that it's an expert that had come and talked to us in the past, or it's talking to us now, that, I don't know, I just feel a deep respect for the people that elected us. And I have to say it again, I think we need to keep being transparent and televise the meetings as we have done. We have some other meetings that we don't televise, and I am okay with those. I'm comfortable with those. But, a lot of people do watch the meetings. They like to be informed because they are the taxpayers in Bloomington. And I think we are accountable in this situation. So I don't think we're gonna take the meetings away from the people that elected us to be here in the first place, bringing all the type of information that they wanna hear. They wanna be informed. And we have our closed meetings, and then we have meetings or workshops that we don't televise. I'm okay with those. But the study sessions, I think we at least should let people know what's going on, be informed. So I say, I'm okay with the changing of the tables, but I'm not okay with taking the meetings off for the public.
Okay.
We're talking
yeah.
about still televising meetings. We're talking about not televising study sessions.
That includes the study sessions then.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this was only just about the study session. Yeah, Rick?
8 months ago, I agreed with Director Corman. I still agree with Director Corman. What opened up my mind to the possibility of switching the other way was Mr. Cheesebrow had said, our number one responsibility is to have the most productive board meeting possible. And if we can be more productive without the cameras on, then that's the way we should go. I don't know that I could be more productive without the cameras on, because I feel like I sort of say what I think anyways. However, when he said that, that's when I sort of opened up my mind like, yeah, okay. If in your experience and if other people's experiences, the board is more productive in the study sessions, not in the regular board meetings, but just in the work sessions, then I'm willing to give it a try. So, not trying to change your mind. I'm just saying how my mind got changed was through that conversation.
And I
Yeah.
totally respect your opinion and Maureen's opinion on this. But we obviously are showing everybody that we can work together very well. We have been working together as a team, as school board members and with the members of the cabinet. I haven't seen any issues so far. I personally don't feel uncomfortable during the meetings. They look great on TV too. So that's just me.
Yeah, Don.
I have a question also for our attorney, David. Is this like before, since it will be in the policy on whether, so we have to have a first reading tonight also on this, or is this not?
Yes, I believe it is in the policy,
Okay.
and it would require 2 readings. Right now, you don't have a motion or anything, so I can't tell you if you're having a first reading or not. It sounds like right now you're just discussing.
Okay, well, I have a little bit of a, I guess I have both sides of it. I'm with Director Oliva in the fact that, you know, before I thought one way, but I did hear what he said, what was said in our professional development, and wondering if we should try the other way. But what I don't know is when we talk about our constituents, what we haven't heard from is how many of them care if it's televised. We haven't heard from them. So what I would like to say, if we have to have another reading, could we say to people, we would like to hear from you? Whether we should have the study session televised or not, and if we don't have anybody that cares, then maybe it doesn't matter. That would be my point. Maybe not a lot of people really care one way or another either. I haven't heard from anyone. No one has said to me, you know, make sure those study sessions stay televised, and no one has said to me, take those study sessions off the TV. So I don't know what other people are thinking and who's watching it, what they think about it. So I guess I'm saying, you know, if you would let us know, maybe that would help.
I'm sure they are drafting emails as we speak.
Sorry, they
And,
let me know. The rest don't want.
They'll be on the Concerned Bloomington Citizens.
I haven't seen anything
Facebook.
pop up here, but, yeah, Tom.
Well, since we first had this conversation in January, whenever I come across someone that watches the board meetings, I ask them, because I know that's a topic that I thought we were going to revisit, and what their opinions of the study sessions are. And the feedback I've been receiving is that the people that watch these meetings, both the school board meetings and the study sessions, they enjoy the study sessions sometimes even more, because that's where the conversation is. And oftentimes you'll just watch a board meeting and a motion will be made, and then there's no discussion, and then it's passed. And if you haven't watched that study session, you don't know what we're passing. And even if they've missed a study session, what's nice is that they're all on YouTube. So if you see something pass at a board meeting, you could just go online, look for the study session when they talked about it, and you have all the discussion right there. And I think for me, you know, televised, not televised, I'm still with keeping it televised. If we had never televised it before, and if we were having the conversation of, well, should we start televising? I think my opinion might be different. But being that we've already been televising, it's kind of like, you know, Pandora's box. We've already opened it and trying to close it. I think we're going to have people thinking, well, why are you not televising them anymore? What are you guys hiding? Why can't we see what you're talking about anymore? Why are you being secretive? I think it's being less transparent. And as Director Corman was saying, that should be one of our primary goals, to be transparent to our constituency and to our taxpayers. So I am still for televising them.
Okay. Well, I don't see this as an effort to be less transparent. I understand exactly what you're saying, though. People say, oh, well, you're taking it offline. What are you hiding from us? My particular goal and what I enjoy most is what we're doing right now. We're having a conversation. We're talking. We're sharing. And whatever can facilitate the best, most honest conversation is what I'm interested in. And I know that sometimes, and it's based on the past, sometimes it's really tough to share an honest and open opinion when you know there's a camera over your shoulder wherever they are. Yeah, it can be tough. It can be hard. And so I want to take that into consideration when I form an opinion on, do we want to keep this televised or not? I'm interested in everyone that's at the table. So when we have a study session and we have the round table, we have all the cabinet and the school board. And I'm interested in taking as many roadblocks out of the way. So if a camera makes somebody hesitate, change what they're going to share in any way, that to me is a roadblock. And so I'm torn. I don't want to turn the TV off on study session nights, but I want that conversation. And so what's best? What facilitates it best? I'm more inclined to go with study sessions that are not televised. Even though I know that people are watching, that there will be people on the street saying, "What are you hiding?" The opportunity to come to the meetings still exists if we find a way to record it. And then maybe it can be listened to online. I don't want to speak out of turn. We have Tom Ringdahl sitting in the front row. Is that something that could be done, Tom? Could it be recorded and you could click on an MP3 file? I'm kind of winging it here, but
with technology, anything is possible. Deb does record all the meetings. To be able to get just the audio file out could be achievable. The main place that would be watched online probably would be still through YouTube or something, which is where people are accustomed to seeing the rest of the meetings. And so it would be a little bit awkward for them to just have the audio and not the video along with. One could argue that we could just have, if it's helpful, just a lockdown wide shot of the entire thing. I'm not sure that that'll accomplish what you want to do, though. If the goal is to have a more intimate setting where you're able to speak more freely, yes, technically one could offer just the audio. Yes, one could. On a separate matter, though, you were asking earlier about viewership. Now, in the cable world, there are 3 places where your meetings are out to the public. One is on cable TV, and that's where they've been covered for upwards of 30 years. And they're also on YouTube and thirdly on EduVision. The EduVision, the BEC TV EduVision channel and YouTube are on demand, so people can watch the meetings anytime they want to. We see quite a bit more on the EduVision one than on YouTube. And we just pulled up some statistics as you started your discussion this evening. And broadly speaking, there's a range of viewership for each meeting, but we see that the top range of viewership for regular board meetings as opposed to study meetings as about 10-fold. So there's quite a bit more viewership for these for regular board meetings than the study meetings, if that's helpful in your decision. That being said, obviously, a lot of people tune in because they want to see somebody who's addressing the board. They want to see people who are being recognized. A lot of the hot button things where people are addressing the board, or when you're making important decisions, obviously all happen at the big meetings. So all of the things that you've mentioned are good and valuable information, and if that can help you with that.
okay, that is good to know. Yeah, Nellie.
Yeah, I just have to say, because you guys really touched the deep of my heart. Can get me going with this. But, one of the things that we have worked so hard for a long time is community engagement, communication. We talk about how to better engage with our constituents, right? And with the public. And I think we have been taking big steps towards that direction. And for me, not televising all of the study sessions, not televising them at all, it also means like we're going backwards because we're already moving in that direction. Same thing goes for the best workforce deal. It calls a lot for engagement, for communication, and if that's gonna be part of our plan, if that's gonna be part of what we're working on, I think we should continue it. This is something that really help us connect with the community. Now, many of the members of our community watching us every single Monday are seniors. And they're not gonna be, kind of bothering and wondering, how do I do it on YouTube, or how do I do it 3-4 days later, or MPs, and whatever it is. They wanna be able to turn on their TVs and watch it right there at the time where they know it's on. So my request to the school board is, and following what Director Steiger has said, is please let's listen, let's hear from the public. If it really matters to them, it's something we need to consider, instead of just making the decision of taking them away. Let's consider the opinion of the public.
Okay, well, we haven't made any decisions yet. Right now, it's just conversation. Yeah,
But if 10 times more people are watching the Monday night meeting than the study session, I think that already is, obvious who's watching what. If we want to have productive meetings, I really think, I mean, just from past experience, I know that, when we get into budget discussions, when we get into long-range planning discussions, there's going to be questions that we want answers to that people might not feel comfortable either asking or responding to. And that's just, not if it's on TV. And I really think that we need to be able to be candid with each other and talk and not worry about how we say it or how responded to.
yeah, Tom?
I think the public has a right to hear those discussions as well. They're difficult conversations, but they want to hear those conversations.
But they're more than welcome to come and sit in the audience.
Well, the ones that can make it here, the ones that, aren't senior citizens, that don't have young kids, that aren't working.
But he's saying 10 times as many people watch a meeting than,
I think he was referring to like the YouTube channel. I don't think he was talking about live viewership,
I don't know.
because I don't think they can track that.
And if we're gonna record it, people are gonna
Maybe
listen anyway, so what's the difference?
Well, that was just freewheeling it. Well, obviously, this is a good topic. It's generated some good conversation. So, where do we want to go from here? Don, you had made a suggestion. Maybe we need to hear from the public.
I looked, I didn't get any emails yet. I was worried there might be 200 in there already.
I still don't see any coming in.
If you are watching now, please send an email to school
say
board.
something at the meeting.
Yeah, well, and so they would be watching
They'd be
this
watching that
over.
today.
So let's just informally invite our viewing public this evening to send us your thoughts. Let us know what you think. You can send it to each one of us. You can send it to me as the chair. Just let us know what you think about keeping the study sessions offline or off television. You're certainly welcome to come and listen in. We're not closing them down. We're interested in honest, robust conversation. So let us know. Send us your notes. And what if we come back to this in 2 weeks at our next board meeting, and we see what's come between now and then? And this particular meeting tonight is going to be rerun 5 times? I don't know.
I don't watch them.
I don't have cable, so I don't watch them. I think it's run more than once.
I stopped watching board meetings.
So,
I'm one of those people that don't watch.
I don't watch myself on TV.
Well, there's one more,
Yeah.
if we're off, not, now we're done with the television part, but what else Mr. Cheesebrow was talking about at study sessions, he had he said that some boards have where members from the public can make a statement or can say something about the topic that we were discussing.
Mhm.
And I thought that'd be something good that we can have at our study session. So if someone's saying something that we're talking about, they can go ahead and, speak to that if they so wish. I don't know if anyone else feels that's a good idea or not.
Okay, and that was a topic that was on the agenda. So if they had questions on whatever we were talking about that night, then they could, as I recall Dennis's comments, it was,
Yeah, if I remember, it was at the board meeting, it was like how we did it now, where they could speak
beginning,
before,
yeah.
at the beginning.
Yep.
But in the sessions, I do remember he had said that it could be possibly throughout the session, if there was a item on the agenda, you could open it up, throughout the night, if there were people that wanted to.
Well, the board meeting was something that people can talk, if that's something that isn't on the agenda,
Right.
whereas the study session was
Is-
someone could make a comment about something that was on the agenda.
Yeah, that
And
was.
that the board wouldn't answer, obviously, but if they had something to say about whatever, our transfer policy, they can go ahead and say what they want on that or something along those lines.
Did he say throughout the meeting or at
I
the
think he
end
said
of
at the
meeting?
end.
Yeah,
Oh, at the end.
I thought it was
Okay.
the end
Yeah.
of the meeting,
Yeah.
but it's not.
So they would have to keep notes, and then there would be a time at the end where if anyone wanted to comment on what they had heard that evening,
Mhm.
and that's the way I'm remembering that.
I think that would be good.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
Sounds
What do
good
we-
to me.
What do we think?
Let's add it. Do we need a motion to add such a thing, or is that
I think
kind
we
of
just
an
do it.
informal type thing? Yeah, just put it on the
Put
agenda.
it on the agenda.
Yeah, well, right now, it looks like it'll be an informal addition. Maureen, any thoughts? Just study session, yeah.
Study session.
Yeah. Because we do differentiate between board meeting tonight, which is a formal meeting, and a study session where I won't have my snazzy tie on. Superintendent, any thoughts?
When we enter the budget adjustment discussions, there may be quite a bit of public comment. It depends how much time you want to budget for that study session. I think we're going to spending quite a bit of time at the study session, just having a conversation among ourselves. If we add on, that's going to extend the session. People need to be mindful of that. And if we start at 7 o'clock, we may be looking at pushing the time later in the night.
Yeah, we do need to be mindful that it'll add time, but I make that assumption that if there is time for them to speak. So it'll, as I'm fleshing this out in my brain before you, it'll be the chair's prerogative to assign however much time the public can make their comments. Yeah, Maureen?
Well, I can see that, but I can also see if our conversation goes till 10:15, our meetings can only go till 10:30 unless we say they can go longer.
Mhm.
What do you do if you have a room full of people? Do you say you've only got 15 minutes? That's not going to fly, I don't think.
Well, we would need a contingency for that, write them down, send them to us. I still don't see any emails coming in my inbox.
It's a time delay.
For 3.5 hours, they're going to want to be heard.
Yeah,
They're watching
okay.
the meeting right now.
Well, let me think that one over a little bit more, and is it fair to say I'll get back to you with what I propose for that? How about that? Since
Sounds
we're
good.
right now, it seems to be informal.
Sounds good.
Or since we're having professional development, we could schedule 3 minutes in on Monday. Ask Mr. Cheesebrough to clarify.
That's what I was thinking. We could ask him how other districts that have done it handle that.
I'm sure he'd love that.
Sounds good.
Okay, so next one on here is, excuse me, board committees. We have, let me grab my notes here. We currently have superintendent evaluation and a legislative committee. Possible new committees would be a long-range plan committee and perhaps a budget committee. So, long-range plan would be to help establish a plan that's reviewed and possibly updated every year. At the minimum, the plan will include multi-year enrollment projection, long-range facility plans, long-range financial projection, would be greater than 3 years. So we're literally getting our crystal ball out, and we're looking into the future. Let's see, the committee chair would probably figure out how many meetings there were. I'm just assuming that all of us would be interested in participating in that, so, yeah, Maureen?
That's my response to this is, I would like to see it be committees of the whole
Yeah,
on both of these items, because I think they're important enough that they need everyone's input and discussion, not just a group of 3.
not that the superintendent evaluation and the legislative committees aren't important, but, yeah, I just think that, I'm just assuming that long-range plan and budget would be, everybody would want to be involved in that. And then, if we had that committee, that it would be, it would be brought back to the board as a whole, and we would engage in the entire conversation all over again anyways. So, but, yeah, Don.
I also don't see that, I mean, those are conversations that we have with cabinet, the whole board too, budget, long-range planning. So I don't see the purpose of having a separate school board three-person committee to have that same conversation. I kind of agree with Maureen there that I don't see the reason why we'd want a separate three-person. Unless he could explain a little better what his suggestion was on that, because we're already having those budget conversations with
Yeah.
cabinet, et cetera, all the time, long-range planning, so.
Well, I just wanted to go over this because this was mentioned. And any other thoughts? I don't want to drive this particular conversation, and normally I try to save my comments to the end, but Tom?
Well, with committees, I was wondering, when I'm talking to other school board members from other districts, the ones that I've talked to seem to have a negotiations committee where they'll have like 3 people that go to all the negotiations for the different bargaining units. And when I tell them that we just have like a school board member signed to each one. And most people, they've never heard that before. And I'm wondering, I don't know if we have, Mr. Historical Perspective isn't here. Did we used to have a negotiations committee and we've changed it to this? And if there's any discussion of maybe going back to having a negotiations committee?
Yeah, I
You
don't know.
remember there ever being a negotiation committee? Who are you asking?
Les, any perspective on that?
I
Having
don't recall having a negotiating committee for this district.
Okay. I think the board members sitting in on negotiations is a relatively recent development. Yeah, the last 8, 10 years. Yeah. I assume that the other board members you spoke to were really excited and thrilled to see our model, and they wanted to move to that, or?
No, they were more kind of wondering why we don't have a negotiating committee. Because I guess that's the standard in the state, that's what most districts do. So you have the 3 people that go to all the negotiations, so that when you're going from one unit to another unit, you've kind of already seen you're part of the plan, and instead of starting new with new board members for every negotiation.
What do you do when the negotiation committees meet at the same time?
I don't know. You probably wouldn't schedule them at the same time. I would
I know.
imagine.
There always be one representative anyway, like if we had alternates instead.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I don't
one
think you
person
could-
who's permanent and then the other 2 that can be.
I don't think we have them at the same time now anyway, because doesn't the director of HR have to be at all of them anyway? So
Yeah.
she can't be at 2 meetings. She might think she's at 2 meetings sometimes, but she's got so many of them.
They have 3 board members that go.
Yeah.
Well, it's, getting back to these particular committees, I think that long range and budget are a entire board conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to come back to the entire board to begin with, so.
So should we then perhaps set up specific times? So instead of having a committee that meets at 3 o'clock on the second Tuesday of every other month, could we just say, you know what, these 3 times of the year, or these 4 times in the year, or twice a year, January and July, we are having our long-range planning meeting. That could be the focus of that specific board meeting or study session. We could say, in these, not July, because we're taking July off, but in January and June or whatever, the 3rd Monday, we will have a work session, and it's just on the books. We just know that that's when it is, because that's our long-range planning committee meeting, and the committee could be all of us plus whichever cabinet members the superintendent feels needs to be there for that particular meeting. Because we could be talking about long-range planning of different things. I mean, we could be looking at long-range planning of expansion or contraction. It doesn't necessarily have to be budget. It could be programming or
Sure.
or whatnot. So maybe we should, we could entertain the idea of formalizing a schedule of when those meetings will take place, if it doesn't already exist.
Yeah, I Yeah, superintendent.
I think if we move to the next topic, I can address that.
All right. So Les
Oh,
has got
yeah, number 5, long-range planning.
Les has got his long-range planning.
Can
All
I just ask
Yeah.
a question before we move on?
Sure.
I just wanted to clarify, back to this whole thing under, let's see, the additional professional development session. Just discuss these items under here,
No, it's
just for the first one?
for the
first one. He said we needed to have first reading over there of that too. We didn't make a motion, we didn't do anything, we just discussed it. Is that the way it's left? That's okay for that? For the
Mhm.
next one? Okay, just want to make sure.
Okay.
Before we move on.
All right, so we're, for those of you keeping score here, we're moving on to the last item on Part B, which is long-range plan. Superintendent has some.
Okay. Sorry I didn't send this out earlier, this PowerPoint, just developed it. And I'm going to propose that the board begin a long-range planning session process. And this is to update the existing long-range plans that the district has. And what are long-range plans? This is a diagram of, this is a strategic plan up here. It's our pathways to graduation. We have 3 core programs, K-12, community services, special services. And what supports these core programs are these resource plans, financial, facilities, technology, and HR. Supporting everything is our communication marketing plan. This is how we're organized. These are the long-range plans the board has discussed in the past. We have a financial long-range plan, a facilities plan, and a technology plan. These are the plans that exist. It's all part of our strategic plan, our pathways to graduation. They're designed to support the programming that'll help us achieve our pathways to graduation. Right? So, why a proposal to start a process to review these plans? Enrollment's declining. We've already started a process on the budget to make budget adjustments. That goes back to the budget committee. The board as a whole is going to look at the budget adjustment process, because one of the reasons why we need that conversation is because of the declining enrollment. Okay. Speaking to the microphone, do that. Next thing is, Pathways to Graduation is our strategic plan. We're in the process of examining why we're declining and what threats are out there that could even further exacerbate our declining enrollment. And we're looking at this and how we're going to respond to these things, the decline and these possible threats. Threats could be charter schools or competitions. What supports the strategic plan, of course, are these long-range plans. And this is the conversation. So we're having conversations here. We're already going to have conversations here. We're having ongoing conversations about our pathways plan. We're going to have stakeholders meetings, as you know, and we're going to have that pathways advisory committee meeting in November. It's all designed to engage the board and the community in discussions about these 2 things. We also need to talk about these long-range plans. How's enrollment affecting this and going to affect this? These are long-range commitments as far as facilities, financial, and technology. This is also a topic for possible discussions with the city when we meet with them, enrollment. So, proposed next steps, if you agree to this proposal to start a long-range planning process, is to do a study session for discussions on enrollment. And I'd like to propose a September 22nd study session be used for that purpose. That's when we'll be talking about the budget adjustment process. The team will be coming forward on the budget adjustments. So they'll go budget adjustments and long-range planning.
That's our 3rd Monday in September.
Correct. That's our 4th Monday. Fourth
The
Monday.
4th, okay. So that would be after a board meeting.
And we're searching, we think we should engage a demographer to help us with that conversation. We've used Hazel Reinhardt in the past. We're seeing if there are other options, but we'll probably go with Hazel. So that's the proposal for long-range planning. Any questions, comments?
I think that looks good. I think having a couple of, Rick, as you were talking about, a couple of firm dates on there, and then you add as needed, because I'm sure there will be dates that are needed. No, this is a conversation that needs to take place probably sooner than later. So I appreciate the September start. And once again, we do hold that third Monday open for opportunities like this, and our fourth Monday is a board meeting / study session. So the second half of that board meeting will be a study session anyways. Any other comments?
Do we need a motion for this? To schedule the study session, or is it already scheduled? We're good? Okay.
Yeah.
Already scheduled.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this is the kind of conversation that I like. I'm glad that we had this. We can just talk it out. All right, now we get to board member reports. Does anyone have anything to share? Anyone?
Say something?
Yeah, Nellie.
Well, I just want to say that it's good to be back. And last Saturday, I attended, or I participated actually in the Jefferson girls soccer team car wash.
Oh,
That was quite an experience for me. First time ever I washed somebody else's car. But that was fun, and just want to say thank you to those of you who came to the car wash, support the team.
did you get soaked?
I got a few, little bit of soap here and there, but mostly my daughter got really soaked.
Okay.
So, yeah, so it was really fun, and yeah, just appreciate the support for not only the soccer team, but all the teams, all the
Yeah,
athletic teams in Bloomington.
yeah, those are fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anybody, anything else? Yeah, Rick?
Unfortunately, I had to miss the July Bloomington United for Youth meeting. However, I would like to read this brief email from Cindy McEnroy. It says, "We are looking for members to join in helping with our initiatives, specifically someone from the faith community, someone from law enforcement, Bloomington students that are in junior high, public or non-public, and high school students." And in parentheses, says, "We are in need of someone to start taking over as our webmaster, along with other student roles on our initiatives. Members of the business and nonprofit / social service Bloomington community are also welcome. Please pass this along." So,
What's the contact, is there a contact
so the
email?
contact would be Cindy McEnroy, c.mcinroy@yahoo.com. So c.mcenroy@yahoo.com. If you're interested, I think it'd be a great opportunity, especially for someone who wanted to get their feet wet in web design and being a webmaster, because there are definitely careers in that and
Sure.
a lot of opportunity in that area for someone who is computer tech savvy.
Yeah, that's a great program. Yeah. Anyone else? Don?
I've been gone a month, I have a few things.
Mhm.
First of all, I was at the table representing, I guess, the school board and the school district at the Summer Fest. The number one question I got, though, was if I live in this neighborhood or by this street and this street, what elementary will my kids go to? Or what middle school am I in? So big boundary questions. So I did say, next year we need to have some boundary maps there so that people can find out that information, because I really do not have the boundaries memorized to every house. So, that was the biggest question that I got that evening. But it was a great night. The weather was great, so it's good. I also attended the Wizard of Oz at Jefferson this summer. Was, once again, we just have such outstanding students in all of our performances, so it was wonderful. Director Bennett and I also attended a town hall meeting in Hopkins around the achievement gap that we found the speaker, I guess I did found the speaker very interesting, so that was quite interesting to just kind of hear, everyone is obviously struggling with this, and so it was interesting to hear their perspective too. Their superintendent also spoke, and then another speaker from, I think, the U spoke on it. I also, I'm sure Director Bergstrom will talk about this, but we attended the MSBA training last week on Monday again, their summer session. And then one of the things that I've been doing for the last few weeks is I have been attending the Make Tracks to Kindergarten program, which is this year been in one of my buildings in the summer. And, you know, there's not a lot of other programs going in the summer, but this is definitely one that's been very busy. Unbelievable. These are all students that need a little help getting ready for kindergarten. And so the staff there is working very hard. Unbelievable amount of work that goes into the number of students there in trying to get them ready for kindergarten this fall. Also, I was just so amazed in the work they did coordinating it. For instance, they made sure that students that are going to a certain elementary have other kids in that room that are going to the same elementary, so that they have friends when they go. They even paired up like staff. So a kindergarten teacher, she's got kids that will be in her building in the fall. That's the teacher this summer to Make Tracks. So a lot of that kind of stuff. So they'll see familiar faces when they enter the building. And I just could not say that this is just such a wonderful program. Just so thankful that we were able to fund it and were able to do it and expand it. I understand it was expanded this year. And you should see just getting them the buses, to get all those kids on the right buses, just amazing work they're doing there.
All right, anyone else? All right, I'll read my list. So I attended a 9/17 board meeting that was back in early July. A lot of good things going on there, and as you might imagine, that the programming sort of slows down for the summer. Also attended the MSB Summer Seminar in Brooklyn Park, and Don and Tom were there, and Les was there in the morning. Had an interesting conversation with the Commissioner of Education, Brenda Casilius. Was interested in her opinion on how we might be able to attract teachers or staff of color and also to retain them. So it was nice to see her again and get her impressions on how we might make some strides in that area. Attended 3 custodial transportation meetings, and we do apparently have a tentative agreement with that union that is not that hasn't been ratified yet, so we're keeping our fingers crossed on that. I'm pretty sure that it was because I brought donut holes that we got that thing. The blueberry ones went over better than the cinnamon covered ones. Had an opportunity to visit the following construction at different schools. So I was over at the Community Services Center, the old Lincoln High School, adult literacy. I want to say thanks to Mary Mooney for a tour over there. She had an extra hard hat, and it fit my melon, so we went on a tour, and things are looking good there. I think the move-in date is next week for a portion of the build-out over there, not the whole building. Had an opportunity to look at Normandale Hills Elementary, at Indian Mounds Elementary. Both of those are receiving rather large construction projects this summer. And even though it looked messy and you're not really sure where to go, I have every faith that our contractors will get everything ready so that teachers can move back in, and everything will be rocking and rolling when the kids are ready to go. Also had a chance to look at Olson Elementary, had a tour from Paul Meyer, who's the principal over there. He was in his office the day I came over there and was gracious enough to show me around. And it's always interesting when you get a staff member over there. You get to see the enthusiasm and the dedication. It just sort of oozes out of them. And it doesn't matter who they are or what school you're at. They really love their school. So thanks again, Paul, for that tour. Also looked at Valley View Elementary. Toured the Pond Welcome Center. Want to say thank you, special thanks to Rosalba for showing me for stopping eating lunch. I came in there and she was covering her mouth, and I had enough sense to let her finish chewing before I asked any questions, but she was very excited to show me how that's working out, and all the people they're getting signed up, and it looks to be working really well. So I want to say thanks again to Rosalba for the tour. I want to say thanks to Anne Marie Terpstra for letting me tour. I had my sons out, and we toured the transportation hub, which is over at 87, not 8711, it's 8717 something. It's on Lindale. So when you're driving north on Lindale and you look east, you'll see all the buses. That's the Bloomington Transportation Center. And again, Anne Marie was really excited to show me around, show me the new buses, show me the new technology. My sons were thrilled to see them get on the buses and look around. Which reminds me, school's going to start in 3 weeks. Want to make sure that all the parents that are watching tonight are mindful of that stop arm. When the stop arm goes out, unless there's a concrete divider in the street, you have to stop. So if it's striped, but there is no concrete divider, and that stop arm goes out, and the bus is way over there and you're way over here, you still have to stop. We want to make sure that our little ones are safe and that nobody has to call home with any kind of bad news. So I'm told that the fine can be as much as $250. So it isn't worth it, no matter what the cost, especially if our little guys aren't kept safe. So remember that. We got 3 weeks left of summer, and it's not an easy transition when you buzz your kids to school. A lot of people drive their kids to school. The first couple of weeks, maybe even in the whole month of September, you're just not into that routine of stopping and watching. So take an extra moment, take an extra breath, and keep the kids safe. So that's all I have. Superintendent?
Thank you. Board Member Steigoff shared that she and Board Member Bennett attended a town hall meeting in Hopkins. Both of them talked to me about the featured speaker, Myron Orfield. They suggested I contact him, and he and I are scheduled to have a phone meeting later this week. The board has set goals for 14-15. One of those goals is to pursue professional development. And because they're leaders of a learning organization, on August 18th, we'll have another in a series of events with Dennis Cheesebrough from Teamworks International. The topic of that professional development session is community engagement. And for everyone's information, school starts on the day after Labor Day for grades 1 to 12, and that's September 2nd. Thank you. That concludes my report.
All right, so there's one other item on here. We're looking for a motion to adjourn. Who would like?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All right. We'll call this one adjourned.